Hello and welcome everyone. So in today's webinar, you will learn more about the MBA program at the Queen's Management School at Queen's University Belfast, one of the oldest universities in the United Kingdom. I would like to thank you for joining us and to welcome our panelists on behalf of Queen's Management School, Stephen Armstrong, MBA Administrator, and Dr. David Paulson, Professor of Practice in Management. We will start with an overview of the Queen's Belfast MBA, its advantages and admissions requirements. You will also hear more about the experience of being an MBA student at Queen's Belfast and how it can contribute to your professional development from recent MBA alumni. If you have any questions, please write them down in the chat box or the Q&A section anytime during the webinar, and we'll take the time to address them at the end of the session. And now I'd like to give the word to Stephen to introduce himself and the Queen's Belfast MBA program. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar about the MBA program at Queen's Management School. I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen, so please do bear with me. And then we'll begin in just a moment. Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Great, and just make sure I've got sound. Okay, well, my name, as Zori mentioned, and thank you for the introduction, is Stephen Armstrong. I'm the MBA Administrator at Queen's. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our MBA program, our business school, and our great city of Belfast. And you'll also hear from a few of our current students and alumni along the way. As Zori mentioned, if you have any questions through the presentation, please drop them in the chat box and we'll pick them up at the end. So as Zori mentioned, Queen's is a historic university in the United Kingdom. We're actually the 9th oldest university in the UK. As you can see from this picture, we've got a beautiful red brick building. If you look at any list, Google top 10 most beautiful university campuses in the UK, and you'll always find Queen's in anyone's top 10 list. We're very, very proud of our history, our heritage, and our gorgeous campus. We're also a member of the Russell Group, which is often referred to as the UK's Ivy League, which is 24 research-intensive universities throughout the UK. Queen's Management School is also located in a beautiful building, Riddle Hall, which is a heritage building which was founded in 1913. It's a beautiful historic campus, and we're also going through a massive expansion project at the moment. So we're going to have a wonderful new campus building for September 2022. So we're not just about history and heritage and culture, although we have all of those things. Queen's is also an international outward-looking university, and one that's looking very much towards the future. In 2020, we were very proud to announce Chancellor or Secretary Hillary Clinton as our first female Chancellor. The Clinton family actually have a distinguished history in the politics of Northern Ireland, and this has been further cemented in terms of the relationship with Queen's through the establishment of the William J. Clinton Leadership Institute, which I'll mention again later on. We're also a highly ranked university. If you look around through the various university rankings, you'll see Queen's Management School always sits in around the top 200 globally. So we're a highly ranked university and a highly ranked business school. Very recently, we acquired accreditation through Equus, which puts us into one of just 197 business and management schools worldwide that have achieved this very prestigious accreditation. So this is another badge of quality that has been awarded to our business school. So that's a little introduction from me, but I think at this point it'd be useful to hear from some of our current students, particularly some of our international students, about what life is like as an overseas student as Queen's, and why they chose Queen's to study their MBA.
Well, Queen's certainly stood out to me as of course, as a Russell Group university, and being able to bring forward that academic rigor that I was really looking for. The other reason I chose Queen's was because it had a tremendous amount of scholarship opportunity available to me as an international student, and I was able to take advantage of that as a postgraduate impact scholar, which also afforded me several other opportunities to be able to be involved in the local community.
I also know that Queen's has a lot of international students and offers a very good and diverse atmosphere wherein the international students feel very comfortable. Belfast is a very, very beautiful city. It has a lot to offer to everyone who comes here. People here are very warm and welcoming and very kind, and I think that is what international students want. They want to feel welcomed, and that is what the city does here. There are a lot of multinational companies who have their offices in Belfast, and they are willing to give jobs to people from diverse backgrounds. That is also one of the biggest advantages that Belfast offers to the students who are studying here.
I didn't have a chance to stay at student accommodation, but I have a couple of friends who are there, so I kind of visited the place a couple of times. It has really spacious common rooms, table tennis, pool tables. I really enjoyed it. It's good to pass time if you're not studying in these rooms. But apart from that, the price, out of all the places I've lived, Belfast is noticeably cheaper in terms of accommodation, food, or transportation. So yeah, I've lived in a couple of places before, but compared to all those, this is the cheapest cheapest place I've stayed, and which is really nice as well. The city has provided me more than a student life. It's now getting to me like it's a home now. So basically, I'll definitely recommend this to any students that is planning to come to Queen's, and especially to those that are fans of Game of Thrones. I'll definitely want them to come here, enjoy the place. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just a quick word from a few of our students and recent graduates. I'd like to talk now a little bit more about the MBA at Queen's and how it came to be in its current form. So the current MBA program that we have at Queen's came about as a result of a long and widespread consultation process, which included a wide variety of stakeholders, including multinationals like Microsoft and Coca-Cola, through to public sector organizations and tertiary or third sector organizations. The idea was to analyze perceived learning gaps with MBA graduates that were coming out of the MBA programs that were available in the market. And the outcome of that consultation process fed into and shaped the MBA program that we have today. So some of the main outcomes of the consultation included the need for more focus on leadership skills. And leadership skills development in a practical sense is very much a part of our MBA program and takes place in a kind of a year-long developing as a manager and a leader module. Also within that was a need to focus on business ethics and sustainability, not just in a conceptual sense or something that's written into a mission statement or marketing material, but something that's can be employed in an operational sense and can really inform business operations. International practice was another key element that came out of the consultation. We were always looking to locate our business, our school, our graduates, and our program within not just the Northern Ireland business community, but the international business community as well. And then some emerging subjects that were felt to be underrepresented, or skill sets that were felt to be underrepresented in MBA graduates at the time, were business analytics skills. We're all aware of the big data explosion and the need for data science skills at every level within the organization. And social innovation, not just in the sense of charity or third sector organizations, but also how leading companies, multinationals, integrate social innovation into their product or service offering. So these have been introduced into the MBA structure as elective modules that students can choose. In terms of the structure of our MBA, everything kicks off with an action-packed launch week. This is students' opportunity to get out of the classroom, get out of their comfort zone, and integrate not just with each other and with their work groups, but also with the world-class natural environment that we have here in Northern Ireland. And you can see a little bit of that in the backdrop there. So lots of team building activities, lots of opportunities to learn about yourself through personality testing, and learn about each other and form the bonds of a working group that you will then complete your MBA project with. Now, this is also a great opportunity to begin developing your networking skills. Networking skills are a vital part of any MBA program, and this is one of the earliest opportunities to start developing those skills within yourself as a student. This develops further throughout the MBA course through our student challenges. We have two student challenges within the MBA, one in each semester. The first one is a design sprint challenge where students work with the client organization to design a product, a service, an app over a 5-day period to meet a specific business need. And this is conducted in cooperation with Catalyst, which is an incubator of startup companies within Belfast's fast burgeoning tech sector. And then the second student challenge is a consulting challenge with, again, a real world organization. They present a business problem, and students work with the client and with their group to develop a business solution to that problem. So, talking about the MBA structure, I'd like to discuss this in three main strands. So the first I've already alluded to, leadership skills development. This is conducted primarily through the William J. Clinton Leadership Institute and is a year-long program. So students will take part in not only classroom-based sessions, but they'll also have one-to-one coaching sessions to develop the leadership skills within themselves. So things like conflict resolution, for example, top-level boardroom skills that are often students feel they are lacking when they embark upon their MBA. Those will be developed on a one-to-one coaching basis. The next strand is the module coverage. So this is your MBA content, and it includes many of the traditional subject areas that you would expect in an MBA. So for example, marketing, accounting, operations, strategy, and so on. Where our program is slightly different than maybe other MBA programs that you will see in the past is the transversal design of our MBA program. So these subjects are not taught in isolation, and they're not assessed in isolation. Students learn to consider, for example, the marketing implications of their budget and the budget implications of their marketing spend by analysing these, looking through the same business problem through different lenses in this transversal model. And then the third strand that I want to talk about is business engagement. This takes place within the MBA through a variety of different means. Some are quite simple and traditional. So for example, guest speaker appearances or field trips to a company HQ, into much more integrative and creative methods. So for example, we have our student challenges that I mentioned, our industry masterclasses, and this all culminates in the Mba Project, which Dr. David Paulson will talk to you about in some detail a little later on. So this is just a brief overview of your MBA structure. So cross semester or over the full year, as I mentioned, students will develop their leadership capability through the developing as a manager and as a leader module. And they'll also have the ongoing business engagement. So engagement with organizations from various sectors within the Northern Ireland business community. Semester one, they'll cover economic environment, rethinking capitalism under the title of Making Sense of a Complex World. And within the same semester, they'll also cover entrepreneurship and operations management under the title of Making Decisions 1. In semester two, we have more of those core business functions in terms of marketing and accounting for financial decision makers. We have strategic management, leadership change and organization. And then we have the elective module. Now, the elective module is integrated with and connected to our international study tour. The study tour is an opportunity to gain exposure to a different business environment, one that is perhaps new to you, entirely new to you, and to see how businesses operate in different parts of the world. And then finally, over the summer months, our students will complete their MBA project. And again, I won't go into that now, as David will talk about that in due course. So the international study tour is very much integrated into our MBA program. All students take part in the MBA study tour. Most recent tour to San Francisco included visits to some big name companies like Netflix, Oracle, Shell, Walmart. Students will have a slightly different tailored tour depending on the choice of elective that they have adopted. So they'll actually complete a short work-based project during the tour, which will help integrate their module studies, their modular studies with their experience in the international study tour. Entrepreneurship is one of the kind of underpinning themes of our MBA, and we work very closely, as I mentioned, with Catalyst, which is an incubator for startups, and they run a number of programs that are available to our students to take part in. Those students who have an interest in developing a startup company. So entrepreneurship is also taught within the MBA. It's one of the earliest components or modules the students will study. And there are a number of programs both within the university, the Students' Union, and externally that students can participate in that offer the opportunity to gain exposure, access to entrepreneurs in residence, and even startup funding for successful applicants. One of these is the Santander University's Entrepreneurship Prize, which one of our students, Irene Green, can be seen winning here. Irene developed a program, product and a company called Bella Moon, which is products for maternity, expectant mothers, and was lucky enough to win the Santander University Prize and was able to develop her business plan and take her company to market. So I mentioned earlier about the coaching that's available. In addition to the leadership coaching that we provide to our students, we also provide coaching for careers support. So each of our students gets access to a professional careers coach who will help them identify suitable opportunities for them post-graduation. So all students at Queen's will have support from the Employability and Skills Department. There are lots of opportunities within the graduate school as well to develop your employability and to gain access to potential employers. But in addition to all of that, our MBA students have this one-to-one career coach who will work with them on a bespoke one-to-one basis and identify opportunities that are particular to their skill set. So where have our alumni gone to? Well, I mentioned earlier that Queen's is a very international university, and you can see from here, this is how broad the sweep of our alumni base has become. And students have also gone into a wide variety of fields. So here are a few of the job titles that recent graduates have attained post-graduation within their or post-graduating from their MBA. So you have the likes of CEO of new business startup, as well as company directors and business analysts, marketing managers, financial traders, and a head of research and development. Students can take their MBA from Queen's into a wide variety of roles in a wide variety of sectors. So that's quite a bit for me. So I thought it'd be nice to hear from some of our recent alumni who will tell you a little bit about what they do and how the MBA at Queen's helped shape their careers. So we'll hear from Conor Lamb, who's Chief Economist at Danske Bank here in the UK. Ashley Rosen, another MBA graduate who is now working as a consultant at Deloitte. And Jessica Gambrell, who has established herself as a self-employed consultant and an entrepreneur working with a number of startup companies.
So my role at Danske Bank is I'm the Chief Economist and Strategy Lead. So I joined working in the economics area at the beginning, and I broadened out my portfolio within the bank to also be working as part of the strategy team now. And actually the MBA has been really helpful with that because it's equipped me with those skills like strategic management, strategic thinking, but also around marketing, around financial accounting, around building business cases, and those experiences and skills that I developed through the MBA have really helped me with that new part of my role on the strategy side. And so it's, as I progress within my career, I have no doubt that the experiences that I've been able to gain as part of the MBA will continue to be really helpful with that.
So now that I'm finished the MBA, I'm actually working as a consultant for Deloitte UK, which is a fantastic experience. I don't think I would have had even the confidence to apply for that type of role before, but because the MBA gave me so much experience working on client projects, developing strategy plans, I really felt confident in going for that type of role. And so I think the MBA just gave me, if nothing else, confidence to go for what I want, and a really broad base of knowledge. So I think I didn't even know what was out there, and now I have a lot more sense of the exposure to the business world.
The MBA is very interesting in this regard because, of course, I came at the end in the middle of a pandemic. And so for me, I was not necessarily doing some of the activities I thought I would be doing at the start of the course. But because the MBA had such an array of ways to prepare me for the rest of my life or the rest of the world and where I want to put myself, I was actually then able to do something I didn't thought I was going to be doing, which is entrepreneurship. And this is something that was not only able to be identified to me as something that was available to me, but also provided me networking opportunities to be able to be aware of who I can talk to further that desire.
Okay, so that's just a few of our recent graduates talking about where the MBA has taken them within their careers. I just wanted to mention briefly the entry requirements for our MBA. One of the things I'll say is that we are not generally looking for GMAT or GRE scores. Those external entry exams are not a normal part of our admissions process. What we are looking for is a solid undergraduate degree in any discipline, and that should be approximately equivalent to a 2-1 honours degree. And if you look on our website, you'll be able to see some of the equivalencies that are published there. In addition to that, we're typically looking for 5 years post-graduation work experience. Our MBA is a post-experience program. Essentially, we're looking for people who have graduated from university and developed some expertise within a particular specialism, upon which we will then build the generalist knowledge that they need to take them on to the next stage of their career, or to shift to another sector or whatever. So students will normally be expected to have 5 years minimum work experience. In some cases, we have accepted students with a shorter work experience, but the onus is very much upon the student then, or the applicant, to demonstrate that they've made faster than normal progress within the shorter space of time. So they'll be required to present a portfolio of evidence to show that they've taken on additional responsibility or developed themselves or their career at a more rapid pace than normal. So this is just a few highlights then of your MBA journey at Queen's. So I've already mentioned our school is Equus accredited, and our university is a member of the Russell Group, often referred to as the UK's Ivy League. It's a 1-year program, which is an intensive 12 months. So taught over 3 semesters. The MBA projects are conducted over the summer, so there are no real gaps in that year. It is a very intensive 1-year program, but the benefit of that is you are finished within a year and are back into your employment and earning cycle in a shorter space of time. You'll have seen from the pictures that we have a world-class learning environment and surrounding environment in terms of Belfast and Northern Ireland. We have excellent campus facilities, not just within Queen's Management School, but our students also have access to a world-class graduate school. Our international study tour is a real key feature and add-on to our MBA, and adds international exposure to the broad range of experience and business engagement that students will have throughout their MBA. We are able to offer scholarships. There is a scholarship fund specific to the MBA that is allocated every year. So students who have met all of the criteria and accepted a place on our MBA program can apply for scholarship funding through the MBA Scholarship Fund. And our program offers regular opportunities to engage with high-profile industry leaders, not just through guest speaker appearances, but also through our student challenges, through our MBA project, and through the international study tour. And we are also able to provide exemptions to professional body examinations. For example, the Chartered Institute of Management Accounting accept our MBA for exemptions towards their professional management accounting qualifications. And for all of this, and I think one of our alumni already mentioned the low cost of living in Belfast and in Northern Ireland more generally, we also have very, very competitive course fees for our MBA, which combined with the low cost of living make it a very cost-effective option for completing your MBA at Queen's. So that's more or less it from me. I'm going to hand over shortly to Dr. David Paulson, who will talk to you in detail about the MBA project. But first, we'll give a last word to Ashley, one of our recent alumni, and she can describe her experience of the MBA project at Queen's.
At the end of my MBA program, I undertook a dissertation, and I did that with Grant Thornton, Ireland. And what was really lovely about that experience was we were able to pivot based on what was happening in the real world. So going into the project, we had some plans, and then COVID-19 hit shortly before the project started. And my supervisor at Grant Thornton was very flexible to undertake a project that actually would investigate that a little bit more. And so I ended up doing a project on the employee experience during COVID-19 of remote working. And so for that, I did some primary and secondary research. And what was fantastic is it was really an independent project, but my program supervisor as well as my faculty supervisor was there to coach me and help me pivot along the way. So there was different check-ins throughout the summer. And at the end, I did a presentation not only at Grant Thornton, but there was different organizations outside, different banks, and other places in Ireland and Canada that I got to present the findings to. So it was a really, really good experience, and I found like I created a unique body of knowledge that I was able to carry forward even after the MBA. In terms of the dissertation deliverable, I ended up submitting a 10,000-word paper as well as a 2,000-word executive summary. At the end of that project, I also did a 20-minute presentation to the client where they could ask questions and give feedback on the results that I had found. So that was probably the most rewarding part, was actually presenting that work to the client and seeing their reaction and how they found it to be quite valuable. There was a really great relationship between my client supervisor and then my faculty supervisor. So at the start of the project, we had meetings with all of us just to set out some expectations and make sure that the scope of the project was clear on both sides in terms of the deliverables and the expectations. And then throughout the summer, I worked more independently with the client directly, but then also doing check-ins with my faculty supervisor. And so they were there throughout the process and also for my final presentation to that client. I think my dissertation was really pivotal in terms of setting up my post-MBA career path, and that's because I got to work directly with a consulting firm, and then when I was going to apply at consulting firms for roles afterwards, it was a really smooth transition because I had that experience, I understood a bit more of how the organization worked, and I had an actual piece of consulting work that I could use as part of that interview process.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'll hand over to Dr. David Paulson, and he'll tell you a little bit more about the MBA project. David?
Thanks very much, Stephen. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for being with us today. It's great to be here with you. What I would like to do is just to now show you a little bit about the MBA project, show you how we work with students like Ashley, and some of the benefits that working on the MBA project will bring to you. So the project has these objectives. The first is that we are looking to help you to analyze business problems, but also to think about ways in which you can draw on all of the learning in the program already. But the important thing is that this is a real life project where you're delivering immediate value to an external client. But that also then, of course, will be reusable in your future business career in the same way that Ashley and others have found. We want you to be able to combine analytical and investigative skills, but personal skills, people skills are really important. The soft skills to develop a relationship with your client and with other stakeholders around the project are really critical. And of course, they're the things which employers are most looking for now in the external job market. Finally, we want you to think about coming up with viable business-like solutions. That your experience in business is really important to us in the way that we shape the program. I and many other faculty members have business experience, and what we're trying to do is to turn you into the business leaders of the future. And for that, we need you to be thinking about solutions to real-life problems, and that you will be able to persuade your client they should adopt. So when you are working on these programs, of course, we give you all the support that you will need. First of all, everybody has a faculty supervisor, as Ashley just mentioned. Then they have a supervisor and mentor on the client side, so somebody in the client organization who is the person they work most closely with. Then they have, if they are doing a business plan option, somebody who's going to help them to shape their business ideas, who we call a venture mentor. And all of the project opportunities are supervised by the module leader, which is me, and the MBA program director, so that you have that quality assurance and that additional support all the way through the program. What we have is 4 different project pathways, and I'm going to take you through each of those now. The first is that, the first thing to understand is that the project pathways are all identical in that they are worth 1/3 of the whole MBA program. So this is the time when you pull together all of your previous learning and you understand what is available to you in terms of the knowledge that you have, and you're able to apply that going forward. The first option is that there is a consultancy project, which is normally with a UK or Irish company. Northern Ireland also features very heavily in the choice of projects, and that is selected by us. We find the projects and we try as far as possible to ensure that the project is matched to your interests. The second option is that you yourself find a project. Often that's if you are working part-time or you're a sponsored student and you're working for your employer, but we do encourage also people to go out and to look for projects with companies who they have an ambition to work for in the future, or in whom they are interested. Option 3 is slightly different. This is if you see yourself as an entrepreneur in the future and you have a really serious business idea that would benefit from direct development. And I'll talk a little bit more about the fantastic support which is available at Queen's in Belfast for that in a moment. But what we want in this case is for you to have a really significant business idea that you intend to take into business on graduation. And we can support you with that. And the final option is for people who don't want to pursue a project with a client or don't want to work on a business plan. This is an option where you are asked to study in detail a company which interests you and to think strategically about that organization, think about some of the leadership challenges which it faces in trying to transform itself over a 5-year period using the newest technologies and new ideas that are out there. So a way for you to practice what you have learned in the program and to apply it to a real business situation. And in the case of one student a couple of years ago, he used that option very effectively to conduct a detailed research into the future of a company he was interested in, and in due course presented his project to them and secured a job with them as a sales and marketing leader. So all tremendous opportunities just to suit your personal interests. How do they work then in practice? Well, we spend some time at the end of semester 1 trying to understand what it is that you're interested in, and then we are beginning to look for projects. We then assign projects to students with student agreement, of course. We put together a program of workshops which enable you to be as well prepared as possible for the project that you are going to do. You then work on the project over a 3-month period, and at the beginning of September, you will pull all of your learning together and your recommendations for the client, and you will deliver a 20-minute presentation, which Ashley just referred to. That presentation is to the client, and it's an opportunity for question and answers, but that also gives you the chance to test your recommendations and then to reshape the final project conclusion, which is submitted later in September in the form of the report or the business plan. The report or the business plan are worth 80% of the mark, and the presentation is worth 20% of the mark. And how do they work? So if you have a consultancy project with a client, whether you find that project yourself or we find the project for you, the idea is that you present that client with a viable solution that can be implemented for a real life problem. This is not a research report in which you are writing a dissertation or a research paper at the end of it. This is a real life business problem in which you, as future business leaders, are expected to provide real life solutions which can be implemented. All of those plans in your case, if you were joining us, would be delivered in September 2023. And as I've just said, that's a 10,000 word report plus a 2,000 word executive summary, so 12,000 words altogether. And it's the 20-minute client presentation. For the sort of projects that we have done recently are advising clients on the future of the workplace that Ashley and several others have done, the reopening of the hospitality sector after COVID, developing sustainable food tourism. Sustainability is now a huge part of all of our teaching in everything that we do. And we're now working increasingly with external clients who themselves are looking for sustainable ways of working. We've then done some HR related work, for example, in developing resilience training for student nurses at Queen's University's nursing school. We've looked at market entry plans for China and other countries, often, of course, related to the experience and the professional plans of the student involved. So if you are a student who happens to be from China and you're interested in strategic business opportunities there, then this is a great opportunity for you to look for a project where you can use your expertise and home experience. We've also, though, looked in the third sector. We do a lot of work with charitable organisations, public sector organisations, thinking about the way in which their businesses are changing in the future. But we've also done, most recently, an increasing number of digitisation projects, which include things like looking at social media, or in this case, a couple of projects are working with a financial institution to help them understand how to work most closely with small and medium enterprises. So a whole range of projects, as you can see, very much aligned to what the students' interests are. What we do is have a formal relationship with the client in which we define the project very closely, so you know exactly what you will be doing. But some people don't want to do that. What they want to do is to develop a business idea of their own. And so I'm going to talk a little bit now about what we call Pathway 3, which is the business plan option for people who might have an idea to develop a business and to become an entrepreneur. In the same way as the other programs, the requirements are due to be delivered in September, so you're on exactly the same timetable. The difference there, though, is that there is an external support network which we really encourage you to get involved with. Queen's is a university which pushes very hard on entrepreneurship, and Belfast is a fantastic city for being an entrepreneur in. There are lots of tech startups. There's huge support for the tech sector, and I'm just going to show you a little bit now about the work that you can do, and which is supported by Queen's Student Union. So they have lots of experience. They have a dedicated staff. They call that Enterprise SU, and those people are there specifically to help you develop business ideas. And of course, you would be mixing with Queen's students from other parts of the university, engineering students, biomedical students, people who might have ideas which you would like to develop also, and you can learn from them. It's a real entrepreneurial learning experience. They have a whole range of mentoring opportunities like business one-to-ones. They have a dedicated workspace where you have a free office and you're in essentially a loft environment where you're there working together, learning from other entrepreneurs. They have a series of programs, competitions where funding is available. They have programs specifically for women entrepreneurs. You saw Jessica early, who did one of those fantastic programs, and a huge actually network within Northern Ireland to support women in business and women entrepreneurs. So we really welcome the idea of women entrepreneurs coming to Queen's and us being able to help them develop their thinking. We also run a Dragon's Den. Some of you may have seen that on your national television. And that is a program where external investors come to see Queen's students pitch their business ideas for up to £20,000 of investment. So lots and lots of stuff there. And as I said, Belfast is a fantastic city for entrepreneurs and for the development of business ideas. You're in a great place to be able to work with different organizations, and many of our students also have developed business ideas and their entrepreneurial thinking and relationships whilst doing one of the other projects, actually. So people have had a consultancy project. Ashley, for example, did her work for Grant Thornton as a consultancy project, which was superb, but she also developed business ideas in addition to that, because Belfast is there as a place which really encourages and supports you in doing that. So the final part of it is for those of you who don't want to work in those different ways that I've just outlined there. This is often for students who are interested in developing an idea with an organization they would like to work for, but haven't been able to secure a project with. People who already have a business idea and they want to not be in the startup phase with it, but for example, to analyze their competitors. We've had a student doing that just this year. And that project challenges you with the question, on this company, how would you transform that company if you were advising its CEO over the next 5 years using the latest technology, the latest business thinking, the sustainability thinking that you will have learned about on the course? How do you transform that business? What would your suggestions be? Again, in September, on the same timetable as everybody else, you're producing 10,000 words, a 2,000 word executive summary, and a 20-minute presentation. We have a very strong workshops program. So if any of you are nervous about the idea of doing a project where you're required to do some primary research, being out, interviewing people, surveying people, understanding an industry you might not have worked in before, we give you lots of help on that. I am one of several professors of practice in Queen's Management School. We're academics who had previous business experience, and I have colleagues who were senior management consultants, and they will help you develop your consulting skills and prepare you for your work with the client. Stephen talked earlier about the challenge projects. The design sprint is the first one that helps you develop your design thinking, which is a critical skill going forward in business. And the second one is to work in teams as part of a project focused on a specific set of issues for a different corporate client. And the key thing there, of course, is that these two opportunities, the challenge projects, are preparing you and getting you fit to be able to deliver a fantastic project for your client with your business plan or with your pathway for research in the summer. So, in conclusion, what is it that we think the projects will bring you, and why do we want you to come to Queen's and do a project with us? First of all, it gives you real life consulting experience. It gives you the opportunity to go out to use your best business knowledge, your personal skills to develop real strategic solutions, which you can then take forward. It gives you the opportunity to develop your analytical skills, use the tools that you've learned on the course, but most importantly, it helps you develop the soft skills, which are now so important for employers. How are the ways in which you develop a relationship with a client, in which you develop working practices with all of the stakeholders, and in which you learn how to bring out the best of other people while you're working with them as their consultant. It gives you some insights, of course, into future career options. Ashley spoke about that also. Many other students we have had have done projects where they have tried to look at a new opportunity for themselves. They've decided they've enjoyed the project so much that they have gone on to look for business opportunities, work opportunities in just that area. So a great learning opportunity and a chance to open new doors for yourself. And finally, it's just a great conclusion to a year of personal learning and development. We hope when you come to Queen's that from the start week onwards, you're making relationships with new people from all around the world. You're working closely with them. You are learning some new tools that you may never have used before. You have new knowledge in new areas. But most importantly, you're developing yourself. You're building on your previous management experience, and you are coming together in a way which, by the end of it, after 3 months of the project, you can say that you are a substantially better and more experienced business person than when you came. That is our objective, and we really look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much, David. Now we have arrived at the Q&A section of this webinar. Actually, yeah, Stephen already replied to some of the questions, but I will go through them once again so that everyone hears the answers. So one of the questions was, can a person get a GMAT waiver in case they have sufficient business experience? And actually, as Stephen also mentioned in his presentation, GMAT is not actually a requirement. And yeah, it's most important that you have experience and you're eager to learn. Is this correct, Stephen?
Yes, that's absolutely right. We're looking for a solid undergraduate degree, which can be in any discipline, but most importantly is that post-graduation work experience. Now, anyone who has already taken GMAT or another entry exam and wants to post that as additional supporting evidence, they're very welcome to do so, and we'll certainly look at it. But it's not a requirement, and it's not part of the standard admissions process for our school.
Great. Well, there were, thanks so very much, Stephen. There were a few other questions about the application process, like when is the next intake, when are the deadlines, and what is the process itself? What are the different steps?
Yes, well, we have just one intake per year for our MBA. It's a 12-month program, as I mentioned, and it runs from September to September. So we have a year-round recruitment. In terms of our overseas students, there is a slightly earlier cutoff in as much as students will need to take into consideration the amount of time it will take to apply for a UK study visa and that kind of thing, but essentially you can apply anytime during the year. The next start date will be the following September.
Okay, thanks for elaborating on that. Well, there was one question about the mode of study, because because of the COVID situation, people are still wondering, will the classes be online? Will they be able to travel? So
we are very much committed to delivering our program face-to-face. We believe that's the best mode and offers the best value and return on investment for students. If you think about what an MBA involves and what makes it different than other taught master's programs, well, the type of networking and business engagement and the coaching and all of those aspects to it, all of those are best delivered, we believe, in face-to-face mode, and we're committed to that, with the caveat that we need to maintain the safety and well-being of our students. So we're always monitoring the latest advice from the Public Health Authority, and we do have the capability to pivot to online learning as and when there is a new lockdown, for example. But our hope and our expectation going forward is that the MBA will be delivered on campus at Riddle Hall.
Right, Stephen. Well, there was one question, if there is going to be an opportunity for people around the world to meet alumni as well. And I think I can answer this question as well, because we are planning actually 2 more webinars with Queen's University at Belfast. And I hope we'll be able to invite alumni to join us in these webinars as well. So you can follow the Unimi's website or of course, Queen's University website as well for updates and news about upcoming events like this. Well, I think we managed to answer all the questions. So Stephen and David, if you have any final words, please.
David, would you like to go first?
My final word would be to say that Queen's is just a great place to work. I did an MBA myself. I didn't do it at Queen's, but working with MBA students at Queen's is really a highlight for any faculty member. We have great classes of people who bring experience from all around the world, and we really hope that you'll be one of them in the future.
And final word from me to anyone who's still with us would just be to say that I know that you will be doing a lot of research, you'll be looking at a lot of different schools and hearing about some really great programs. I hope you'll consider our school, our MBA, and our great city of Belfast to have your MBA. Have a look through our material. We are always available to contact if you want to reach out to us and find out a little bit more about the MBA or set up an online chat. We are always available to speak to you. So please do get in touch if you would like to know more.